Survivor Season 47 is already full of fierce competition. It's only episode 2, so let's break it all down. Okay, here's what I love about these 90-minute episodes is we get a lot more insight into kind of who they are as players, what's happening at camp. And so the first 30 to 40 minutes of this episode is literally just camp life, tribe life, people interacting.
Sometimes, though, I feel like it's a little too long.
It's a little too much.
How far are we into this? Where's the immunity challenge?
I think it's a little bit too much. But then also I think once you get to the end, you appreciate seeing all of it because I think you have a better understanding of people's gameplay.
Yeah, and you understand the dynamics of the tribe a little bit more and the relationships built.
Exactly. One of the big things we see is that Rome, who's just been like an absolute hot mess.
He's all over the place.
We pointed this out in the premiere as well. Yeah. He tells Teeny about his advantage that he's got, but then she immediately goes and tells somebody else. So then... This was so funny. He showed her where it was, and she took the other person and shows them where it is. And then Rome comes up and is like, hey, guys. And so now... So then Teeny's like, probably shouldn't have done that. But also Rome's like, oh my gosh, now I can't trust her.
Yeah. Well, like, if you're going to show somebody else's box, you should probably be a little bit more strategic about doing it, especially when it's kind of out there in the open, you know?
Yeah, it's very interesting. We also kind of see the fallout, if you will, of the first tribal council, which was, it was between Andy and John obviously ended up going home. But Andy's just like a hot mess.
Oh my gosh.
This man, okay, so we get back and you can just tell like he really has no idea what he's doing and it's still kind of like...
And they're kind of all taking shifts babysitting.
Yeah.
Well, and what's funny is, you know, like in the first episode, he's like, nobody plotted for me when I was cracked up coconuts. And then this next episode, we see them going like, woo, good job, Andy, get that coconut.
Yes. You know what I just thought about too? Okay, in this episode, doesn't it happen where I believe it's Andy finds the like first advantage and then puts it back, but then the other people in the tribe go and find it.
Sam finds it.
Didn't even know that he found it.
Right, which is crazy. Because also, like, if you find an advantage, and even if it's a beware, you need to make up your mind that second. Because if you put it back, like it happened with Andy, somebody else is going to find it.
Well, and it was ironic because, so then Andy's on the outs with this, and Sam finds it, but then Sam brings every single female in the tribe in on it.
Yeah.
It was actually very, like, interesting gameplay.
Well, and then what's funny is... Andy thinks one of the girls has it, and then he's telling Sam about it, and
so
Sam's
like, okay, now I know. Yes, it's like all turned around. It's honestly insane.
Crazy.
It's so much fun. We also see kind of over on the blue tribe the power, you can tell people are trying to figure out where it goes.
It's very divided. You have 3 and 3.
Yeah, you've got Gabe and Sue, and then TK and Eric, and then you've kind of got the other two in the middle a little bit.
Well, and even Gabe is very much floating between the two sides as well.
So it's very ebb and flow, but you can tell there's kind of like, TK thinks he's like the top dog, but then Tiana's kind of like, no, but then Sue is also kind of like feeling good, especially as the older one, she's kind of well integrated herself into the tribe. So a lot of interesting tribe dynamics. Then we go into the immunity challenge. This was insane. Tell me about it.
So we start off we're on the beach, and they basically have to carry 3 bags of big heavy rice through this little obstacle course and get to this snake table base. I don't really know what to call it, you know, and then have to 3 of them have to maneuver a ball down the obstacle snake and get it into the cup. And then it's also a reward too, the fish gear. And correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember who won.
So it was all I know is it was the red and the yellow because the blue ends up who ends up losing going to tribal. But what's interesting about this is there's a funny moment, and I have to admit, I actually missed it, and another friend of mine texted me and was like, I just saw something. I don't know if it's allowed. Let me know when you get there. And I was like, what?
That?
So I did not realize her name is...
I'm still trying to remember all the names.
I feel like it's Rachel, but that may be way wrong. Anyway, she actually takes some of the rice from the bag and puts it in her pocket.
And you know, which I thought was smart. Jeff didn't say you can't steal the rice.
He was not about it, though, so he calls her out after, and he's like, Rachel, or whatever her name is. He's like, what are you doing? You can't do that. So he's like, so I have to give it back, and he's like, yes.
He's like, into your pocket. I guarantee you, though, going forward, any game with rice, Jeff will now put in the rules, you cannot pocket any of the rice.
We'll probably have to state that exactly. But this was a very high intense challenge. Now, what's exciting about the Blue Tribe being the ones to go to Tribal Council is, like I said, we've got all these kind of just huge power dynamics and people wanting to be the top dog on the tribe.
Well, the one thing, too, at the end of the challenge is with Blue losing, Jeff was like, oh, I see a lot of smiles over there, and that did not sit well with TK.
Oh,
he kind of was like, if you're smiling, I don't play with losers, blah, blah, blah. He's a sore loser.
He is a sore loser.
And that did not sit well with the other members.
It was really interesting. So what's funny is leading up to Tribal Council, we kind of see there's all these different dynamics. So you've got Sue and Gabe, who kind of work together in the first episode, and Gabe really trusts, but Sue's also working in cahoots with, I'm forgetting her name as well, but there's another girl in the tribe. And then you've got TK and Kyle, who are very close. And then there's kind of like Tiana, who is seemingly with the guys, but she's also now kind of floating and playing with Gabe and Sue and the other People in the tribe.
TK, she doesn't trust him as much after his comments.
So it's an interesting dynamic, and TK is convinced Sue's going, but everyone else thinks T's gonna go, TK's gonna go, so it's very interesting. So we get to tribal, and they're all kind of going back and forth, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is it's like, okay, well, seemingly the vote's probably gonna go towards TK is how the edit made it seem. But then right at the last minute, Gabe plays his idol out of nowhere.
Well, and I thought he was going to play it on somebody else, but then he used it on himself. I'm
on
like,
himself.
What?
I did not understand
Why?
that. If that was the dumbest move I've seen so far this season, granted, there's probably more to come, but that was so dumb on his part because he could have used it longer. And I'm like, that was such a stupid use of gameplay. And you just gave away that you found the idol, which I think makes you more of a threat.
Right.
Anyway, all that to say, TK goes home almost unanimously, but not quite. It was interesting because he was in my preseason interviews, and I really enjoyed him, but I do think he got too cocky and a little bit too big for his britches.
He was a little bit annoying, too. Like, even when Sue and Tiana were trying to sleep on the beach, and he's over there, like, blah, 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 and we got the bro edit, you know?
Yeah, so it was just a lot. But anyway, let us know your thoughts. This season is so good. Brand new episodes of Survivor Wednesdays on CBS. Tune in.